I put so many skills and so many shots in my back pocket for the paycheck and a big event. And that's been messing with my head a little bit. So I'm just kind of trying to take myself back, focus on the bigger picture, see what's going on, see what happens with this lightweight belt. See if we can maybe entice one of these boxers to show their balls and get into a real fight, and then we'll figure it out. So that's where I'm at right now.
Hello, I'm Cavassier, the goddamn it's been a long time since I've made a video newt. This episode is to let you know what's going on with the channel and what's planned for 2018. Plus, I need to clear up the mystery surrounding Conor McGregor's next move. Apparently, the Vox Gannett Disney algorithms can't figure out the Irishman's plans. Most pundits say either Conor won't return or he's going back to boxing. Wrong. I'll jump into it momentarily. First, an update. Part 3 of the Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Rose Namajunas series is nearly finished. Thanks for the interest in the series. Both women are mentally strong, deliberate, and intelligent, but approach things from their own perspectives, which makes analyzing the psychology of their connected story fascinating and potentially illuminating. Finishing this episode has my full priority. I'll post it ASAP. I'm pretty sure you're gonna find it interesting. I want to wish everyone a happy new year and huge thanks for your support in 2017. A little more than 6 months ago, this channel had a grand total of 7 subscribers. I'm grateful for the growth. I don't expect a newt to get all sniffly about it, but goddamn, it's humbling stuff. The most rewarding part of the journey thus far is the comments section. Damn, I love it. All of it. The good, the bad, the ugly. I know it's cool to give MMA fans short shrift, but in my experience, MMA fans are knowledgeable, engaging, and express coherent ideas better than 87% of the articles written on MMA websites. My point is there's something happening here. It smells like we've got a community. Hell, I already recognize most of your comments by name or picture, and I know a few of you have been eyeing my couch here. Unfortunately, it's spoken for most nights, so don't even ask. As for the future of the channel, improvements and changes are underway. I'm making a commitment to the channel in 2018. I need to work, but I tweaked the schedule and dropped some obligations. It's a big change. I'm excited to finally have a little time to work on new ideas and get some episodes out. You'll want to subscribe now if you haven't already, because I'm using YouTube's new community function to send out information about what's happening, new episode schedules, and polls to help shape content. Alright, what's going on with Conor McGregor? The pundits say McGregor has 3 plays. 1, he doesn't come back at all. 2, he goes back to boxing. And 3, he returns to the UFC. Let's look at number 1, that Conor doesn't come back at all. To believe this requires a staggering lack of imagination. Though I've heard the pundits repeat the narrative like a bunch of minor-birds. They say, McGregor made $100 million against Mayweather. Why would he come back to the UFC? Why indeed. Maybe because 15 to 20 million a fight is no joke? McGregor's negotiating a new deal with UFC and has plenty of leverage. If he continues to win and generate superstar interest, who knows how much he could make per fight. Also, most of Conor's sponsorship deals are dependent on him being an active fighter. Should he walk away, these alternative streams of income dry up. And at 29 years old, Conor's psychological needs and drives are inextricably bound to mixed martial arts, fighting, and testing himself with increasingly less probable matchups. Without a doubt, Conor McGregor returns. Number 2, boxing is next. They say, he did it before, so he'll probably do it again. Not sophisticated reasoning. They also mistakenly believe McGregor would make dramatically more money boxing than in the UFC. But I'll ask, against whom? Even without a new contract, Conor makes 15 to 20 million in his next UFC fight. Which boxing matchup guarantees McGregor makes considerably more than 20 million? None. Only a rematch with Floyd could generate that kind of money, and for it to happen, Conor needs to do something significant in order to make people believe in a rematch with Floyd, that somehow it could go differently than the first time, and that means actions. Words aren't enough. Anthony Joshua only made $13 million for his last fight, and he's boxing's heavyweight champ and rising star. Canelo versus Triple G had guarantees of $5 million and $3 million respectively. Once you include the pay-per-views, estimates are Canelo made nearly $25 million. That means Golovkin, as the B-side, made less money than Conor McGregor did at UFC 205. I guess the yahoos would have us believe McGregor's willing to take a pay cut because he'd rather mix it up in a ring than a cage. Doesn't make much sense to me. And don't forget, McGregor needs UFC approval to compete outside of the UFC. Because they did it once before isn't a reason for them to do it again. Quite the opposite. Apply some common sense and it's obvious. Conor's next fight won't be in the boxing world. That leaves us with number 3. As Ariel Helwani would say, of course Conor McGregor will return to the UFC. The remaining question is when and against whom. McGregor's a little more hemmed in than you might think. At most, he's got 4 options. He's got Ferguson, Khabib, Nate Diaz, and GSP. Well, Nate Diaz doesn't want to fight, and his public demands ensure he won't have to. GSP pulled a bit of a fast one to get his last fight. He may eventually match up with Conor, but the timing is wrong for everyone. It can't happen now. Khabib looked good against Barbosa, but he lost his place in line when he failed to show for his fight against Ferguson. Khabib needs one more win before he can face McGregor. Not because I think he needs to prove something, but you can be sure McGregor won't sign a contract with a guy who's historically less reliable than Jose Aldo, unless he can show up to fight at least twice in a row. Expect Khabib's next fight to be against Eddie Alvarez, unless Kevin Lee talks his way into the spot. That leaves us with interim champ Tony Ferguson. A fight between McGregor and Ferguson puts the lightweight division back in order and removes the last lingering interim belt from circulation, making the UFC's divisions healthy again. Contemplate this. Remember after Ferguson won the interim belt, he hounded and trolled McGregor heavy until McGregor finally posted a Grand Theft Auto themed response. Tony posts the GTA meme, and Conor responds with the GTA meme and mentions Tony's name in the post. Conor isn't a copycat. He doesn't mimic ideas or themes from other fighters. We should consider his response as something different than a normal stirring of the pot. To use the language of game theory, I believe Conor is showing he's willing to play the same game as Tony. Conor's agreeing to the game Tony proposes. Metaphorically, the GTA meme represents the bout agreement between McGregor and Ferguson. Conor's telling Ferguson he's willing to fight him. Think about it. Conor hasn't made a cooperative gesture through social media towards anyone but Tony. With everyone else, Conor is strictly antagonistic, like calling Khabib's dominant win at UFC 219 dogshit and sloppy. One more detail. Conor and Tony share the same manager that can be used as a trusted back channel. Tony decided to have elective surgery on his elbow not long after Conor's GTA meme response. Why would Tony risk missing out on the bout with Conor? This was mid-October. UFC, Conor, and others publicly stated McGregor would likely fight again before the end of 2017. For example, if Conor fought at UFC 219, Ferguson would have been in the same situation as Robert Whittaker was for UFC 217, watching the undisputed champ fight someone else while you're recovering from surgery. So Tony must have known something. Maybe he and Conor colluded just a little bit. It makes sense. They both get what they want. Tony gets the fight he wants and time for surgery and recovery. Conor gets the delay, which allows more time to pressure the UFC for a new deal while creating PR cover for his image. As long as the guy with the interim belt is recovering from surgery, McGregor can wait on the sidelines without backlash from the UFC. The final word. Conor McGregor will next fight Tony Ferguson in the UFC as early as March, but there are 2 complicating factors that could delay the fight until summer. The first factor is Conor getting a new contract from the UFC. Nothing happens until McGregor is happy with his deal. Conor knows he would be a huge factor in how much money the UFC gets in their new television contract, which is already being negotiated. The other factor? I believe the UFC is trying to work it into Conor's new contract that he has to coach against Tony Ferguson on The Ultimate Fighter. Yeah, I know. Let that sink in. About a month ago, the worst-kept secret in MMA was the pending announcement of Tyron Woodley and Colby Covington coaching the next season of Tough. It was never announced, though both fighters are still tentatively committed. If Conor agrees to coach Tough, it puts McGregor versus Ferguson on ice for another 4 or 5 months at least, which is sure to test the patience of fans and not make contenders at 155 too happy either. One way or another, we'll get the announcement before Groundhog's Day. Thanks for watching. Let me know your opinion about all this, either below in the comments section or over on the Twitters. Remember, this isn't supposed to be easy.